Welcome to Look at Lucasfilm, the podcast with a different perspective on the world of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and all of the other entities that George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau, as well as the rest of the team at Lucasfilm, have dreamed of over the past 40 years. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and my co-host Brian Gaughan and I are recording this week's show on Saturday, November 12th, 2022. And Brian, you of course know what that means.
5 days left.
That's right, till Life Day.
For Life Day.
This really got rolling in 2020 with the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. So Disney began kicking the tires of, hey, Life Day, which, for those of you who don't know, all the way back to the Star Wars Holiday Special that ran on CBS back on November 17th, 1978. In fact, that's why the whole November 17th date.
You know, I think I liked Life Day more before I re-watched the special, because now all I think about is Grandpa in that thing watching that.
Yeah, Diane Carroll. No. That goes behind the steel door, Brian. And in fact, I've actually read an interview where George Lucas talked about how if I could get a hold of every copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special, I would destroy them with a hammer. I mean, it was one of these things where, as far as he was concerned, it was just a complete misfire. But October 26th of this year was the 10th anniversary of Disney buying Lucasfilm.
Oh, wow. That kind of went by the wayside, didn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you would think Disney would make a bigger deal of that, but Lucasfilm under George Lucas was Life Day. We don't talk about Life Day. You know, it's just sort of like, whereas Disney, on the other hand, like, as I mentioned, they looked at Life Day and it's like, okay, so we tried this holiday special. And the very next year, November of 2021, we see our first start of Disney sort of walking at the idea of, could we merchandise Life Day? A relatively small program. There was a Star Wars Life Day cookbook. There was also a Chewbacca Life Day plush, so 20 inch tall, Wookiee dressed in a red robe holding a Life Day orb. Likewise, there was a Life Day orb mug, which looks like it can hold 7 gallons of coffee, which immediately appealed to me. It's like, ooh, okay, that's a good way to start your morning. But also last year, they also had the Star Wars Life Day Treasury, and it was holiday stories from a galaxy far, far away. But again, relatively minor, smallish retail program with a
they were sticking a toe in the water to see if anybody would buy it. And
evidently they did, because
But the funny thing is, most of those people did not see the holiday special.
Oh, of course not. So now it's a broader program. It's more specific and more aggressive. And when I say more specific, a lot of these items, and we're talking about Life Day t-shirts for women, Life Day t-shirts for men, Life Day t-shirts for kids, Life Day ball caps, are actually, it's Life Day, and again, with the subheading of celebrating together, but it's dated for 2022. Because again, obviously for 2023, it's like, oh, well, I see you're wearing the out-of-date Life Day stuff. You want to?
So they date it too. Oh man,
yeah.
They don't let anything slip by, do they?
No. This is Disney. They have some of the sharpest people when it comes to merchandise on the planet. But anyway, we are gentlemen of a certain age, and we sit on the couch and we watch movies, and we both saw the Life Day Red Fleece throw, which I'm guessing they used that language because this is a Snuggie, right?
Right, it's Snuggie, and Snuggie is probably trademarked.
There we go. Still. All right, so it's a red fleece throw, and with the subtitle of Blanket with Sleeves. And it's just sort of like, but you can get a Life Day. You can dress like Chewie. You can put on your robe with your sleeves, and you can sit on the couch, and you can watch your Star Wars movies. And
well, especially because isn't it kind of cold there now in New Hampshire?
Thank you, global warming. No, it's November.
Oh, really?
It's 65 today. No, in fact, I stand corrected, folks. It's 69.
Okay, well, that's funny because it's 69 here, too, and we consider that cold.
Well, there we go. Okay, so get yourself a Snuggie. I will say this much. I need another coffee mug like I need a hole in the head. In fact, Nancy literally had to go out and buy a coffee mug tree lately because I couldn't use the counter. There were so many coffee mugs. But there are 2 Star Wars Life Day items I am considering purchasing. One is the Star Wars Life Day pop-up book and advent calendar, which, by the way, started as $45, and Amazon currently has it listed at $39.56. Given that Life Day is supposedly a Wookiee tradition, long observed in that culture, what the hell is going to be in this advent calendar when I open the little doors? I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that scene from Return of the Jedi where Chewie is lured into the trap the Ewoks set by a killed, forest creature. It was like raw meat in a stick, and Chewie ran right over it. And it's like, so what happens when I open this advent calendar? I'm thinking, I want a cute little piece of chocolate, but am I getting a piece of raw forest creature? The other thing, frankly, and this is the one I may have to order as soon as we finish up here, folks, and that is the Star Wars Life Day mug from Starbucks. This is one of those things where it's a Venn diagram for both Star Wars fans and Disney theme park fans, because it's a Starbucks mug, and inside the rim of the cup is written the motto for Life Day. It's family, joy, harmony. Inside of the mug is red. That's written there in white. But it's the outside that's intriguing. It's got Chewie in his red robe, his Life Day robe, holding a Life Day orb. But behind him is the Millennium Falcon parked outside of Smuggler's Run at Black Spire Outpost. And the Black Spire Outpost, the mountains are off to Chewie's right side. To the left is the official Black Spire Outpost sort of stylized logo.
Well, I know what I'm getting Liana for Christmas.
And I know who's going to be sleeping out on the porch.
Yeah, or sweeping up the pieces.
Yeah, well, there we go. But anyway, folks, if you're not a Star Wars or a Galaxy's Edge fan, there's also a stainless steel cup that they're selling. It has a stylized lineup of the original Star Wars characters. It's R2-D2, C-3PO, Chewie in his Life Day robe holding a life orb, and then it's Leia, Han, and Luke on the other side. Disney doesn't miss a trick. It's like, okay, here's the cup for the theme park fans. Here's the cup for the Star Wars diehards. And then, like I said, there's all of this Life Day 2022 stuff that next year it's like, oh, you're wearing the out-of-date Life Day thing. Well, luckily we have the 2023 assortment available. So we would love to hear from you folks who are actually going to Anaheim or Orlando in the coming week. Because again, Life Day isn't officially held till the 17th of November. And this show will go live on the 16th. So if anybody's going into either Disneyland proper out in California or Disney's Hollywood Studios on the 17th, we'd love to hear what you saw while you were wandering around Galaxy's Edge.
And especially if some of this merchandise that's on Shop Disney gets to the parks too. I mean,
also true.
That would be bizarre. Could you imagine if you saw like Wookiees walking through Galaxy's Edge in the red robes? I don't know if that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. And the last time I was in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, they were running Chewbacca around that place like he was a politician running for office. I mean, Chewbacca's here, and then, okay, move him over there, and then, wave to the people, Chewbacca. And I just thought about the poor, very tall teenager inside of that outfit.
All you need for the Life Day thing is you don't see the full Wookiee body. So you just need hands and head, and then the robe, and then you could have, a dozen of those things walking around.
But again, it's Florida. And you're wearing a giant Snuggie, a bright red
true.
Snuggie on top of your furry outfit.
Hey, that could be our Halloween for next year. We'll just put a Wookiee head on and get a Snuggie, and there we go. Or you could wear it when you go on the trip thing.
What Brian's referring to is Len Testa, my co-host on the Disney Dish, and I are working with the folks at Storybook Destination. We've actually booked 25 we filled 25 cabins on a sailing on the Halcyon Galactic Star Cruiser
Right.
on the ground cruise experience. And Len is of course going as his Star Wars adjacent character Hank Lonely, and I'm still workshopping my Jabba the Hill outfit.
So are you gonna speak Huttonese, or are you gonna talk like the uncle? Oh, who is the character in? Who is the actor? Not Alan Seuss. Is it out? Yeah, Alan Seuss. Like that's what the uncle sounded like. Are you gonna get that kind of voice pattern going?
Oh, now I have another option. And it's an old school Laughing fan doing an Alan Seuss impression. Wow.
See, that could, yeah.
Okay, I got it. Sorry, folks, I have to go do some research. Sorry to front load that to talk about so much of the Life Day merch, but I guess the other reason I brought that up is Disney actually began its Black Friday specials on Veterans Day, November 11th. So I'm not exactly sure how the promotions work this time, but I think you have to meet a certain price point to get free shipping. So, but again, if anybody out there feels this strongly about Life Day, especially the dated Life Day stuff, just wanted to give you a heads up. But we have lots of news for Brian and I to talk about yet. And speaking of news, the news portion of Looking at Lucasfilm, as always, is brought to you by Storybook Destination, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience every time, please book online at StorybookDestinations.com. Today is Disney Plus Day. Hey! It's third anniversary of the launch of this streaming service. And
you know what? I am so happy with Disney Plus because even if you're not watching the new shows that are coming out, there are so many great. I just watched the other day The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, which is an amazing bad movie.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool film to watch, and just it's so goofy, and the kids loved it. I mean, I actually showed them when they were little, and they really loved it. And I remember seeing it in the theater, and I saw it 3 or 4 times because it was such a great. Oh, I just Applejack, and then just
Okay.
It's just one of those things that my parents used to send me to a movie theater. It had a double feature, usually Disney double feature, and they told me watch both movies twice. So, and we'll pick you up in 6 hours.
There we go. There's some quality parenting right there, folks. Okay. When I think of The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, I think of the Medfield College trilogy. Because remember, this was a series of films. We had the Kurt Russell's Dexter Riley character and his friends, which, by the way, among his friends is Frank Welker, the wonderful voice actor and comedian. But, there was the Now We See Him, Now We Don't. And then I want to say the
Strongest Man in the World.
There we go, Strongest Man in the World. But for me, the charm of these particular college-based science comedies is you want to talk about Disney producing a film as cheaply as possible. Medfield College
was the studio.
No, that's it exactly. In fact, half the fun of watching this movie is looking past the actors, and it's like, oh, that's the animation building. Oh, that's the studio cafeteria. That they're outside on the patio for the commissary filming the scene. Even when they left the lot, they didn't really leave the lot. They would shoot the car scenes like 2 or 3 streets over.
I enjoyed the goofy films of Disney. I mean, Boatniks, that was a fun film. I remember going to the drive-in and seeing that.
Not going to talk about the Boatniks. No. Wait, seriously, my problem is if we talk about the Boatniks, we have to talk about how this is when Dean Jones went to Broadway to do Company. And the irony is because Dean Jones wasn't willing to do the Boatniks, who did Disney hire but Broadway actor Robert Morris, to come and play the Dean Jones role in the Boatniks. And it's a 2-hour-long story, and the Star Wars fans at this point will have wandered off and found another podcast. So, speaking of which, we were talking about Disney Plus Day, and what Disney typically does on Disney Plus Day is they'll put a special new short out. Now, the past 2 years, they've done the Simpsons shorts. They did the
The Force Awakens in
from its snap. There we go.
from a snap, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and I forget what the other one was, which I think was more Disney centric. But today, it's still Star Wars themed, but it's called Zen, Grogu and the Dust Bunnies, and it's a collaboration between Lucasfilm and Studio Ghibli. What did you think of this piece?
First of all, the main thing that hits me was the music. I thought the music was beautiful. The music was done by Ludwig, what's his name? Godinson?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Godinson. And it was very zen. I mean, you could have that music in the background and you could just relax, and it was very sweet. It was sweet. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And it calms you down. It really does what it set out to do. And it shows Grogu in what we knew as Grogu, and then the Dust Bunnies, which are very Studio Ghibli.
Did we first see those with My Neighbor Totoro?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
And it's great that they brought the two together. But I love. I mean, I want merchandise with this, like to no end. Give me that T-shirt, and maybe a mug too.
Okay, now they talk about how this was supposed to be seen as a teaser for season 3 of The Mandalorian, which is still on track to debut on Disney Plus February 2023. And I had been over at Target just recently and seen the Grogu Halloween stuff, and Brian didn't believe me. So we put Grogu Halloween and Target into Google and proceeded to see the vast array of products, whether it's the Grogu dressed as a mummy plush or the sketchbook ornament where Grogu is now hanging out inside of a pumpkin, or the girls Star Wars Grogu Happy Halloween where it's Grogu hiding inside of a jack-o'-lantern, and it's like... And of course, intruding on this is the first wave of the Grogu Christmas stuff, and it's like, ugh.
It's amazing what they're doing with this character, and then it's amazing to think that it was introduced without any merchandise, and they must have been dying that they're leaving so much money on the table, especially seeing what Grogu is doing now.
That was Favreau himself. It's like, no, this stays a secret. And in fact, the very fact that if you think about how many effects houses must have worked on this project, and that no imagery of Grogu leaked out until the first episodes, drop in November, December of 2019, and then became this huge phenomenon.
And I don't mind it too. I mean, during the lockdown, I mean, my go-to to make me feel better was to be able to buy another Grogu, painting or plush or a pop or anything. And he's cute enough that Liana did not get mad at me that I have a room full of Grogu. So,
well, but you were talking about how early on, when, for example, the Cars series, the
Right.
Pixar film in 2006 was introduced, and Brian and I are of an age where, we grew up and Hot Wheels were a thing. So when
and Matchbox.
and Matchbox. And so to have the cars like the ones from our childhood reemerge, only they're now celebrating this Pixar film. And I stood at the outside edge of this and almost bought in, but you made...
I bought in. Yeah, the first movie, I got every single car, and I think I had to pay secondary price for one, and I forget which one. I think it was one of the dinos.
Okay.
And but I got every single car. The design was great. The packaging. See, I love people, well, I don't open my toys because I want to sell them. No, I don't open because I love the marketing. I love the packaging. I love all that stuff. I will buy a second one. Like I bought a second Mater and a second...
Lightning McQueen?
Yeah, Lightning McQueen. Oh, yeah, that was the one I couldn't find. Remember the shiny Target one? That was the one I was, I think I paid extra for. But then, of course, they came out. But anyway, I would open one and, a 50-year-old playing around with the cars and stuff. But it's really cool these are things that my kids were young too at the time, so I could play cars with them, and it's not just the Hot Wheels, which are based on real cars. It's characters.
When did it become too much? Was it when the next wave of characters arrived for
Yes.
Cars 2 and it's just like, okay, this is nice, but I'm not continuing on?
Well, even before that, because they were then they started doing like packaging with doubles, and they would change the color, or they would do something like that, and that's when I was kind of out. When 2 came in, I would get the characters I didn't have. And the one, Jackson, was the hard one to find for a long time. And with the different packaging. They came out with different packaging. They came out with the original Jackson, and then there weren't a lot of those. It was like 1 to a box. And then the next came out, it was different packaging, and there was a lot there. But I would run into people, poor grandmothers, looking for certain characters, and they'd be like going, why aren't they... why do they only have 1 of these? Why do they have 2 or 3 or something? And I had the Jackson, so I gave it to her. But because, I figured that I would see, and she was getting it for her grandkid, how many times does she go out and get a toy for her grandkids? So it was just one of these things that it was big. And then now, Cars on the Road, there's a lot of great new characters in that. And I haven't seen anything.
If you step beyond Grogu, to be honest, the only merchandise program I've seen for a Disney Plus series was the Monsters at Work. They did a bunch of action figures and play sets and that sort of thing, which I thought would lead to a Cars on the Road thing with the similar Pixar tie, but we are still coming out of a pandemic, around the globe.
Oh, that's right. There may be yeah.
And it could be just a case of the factory couldn't operate at that time, or God help us, it's still on a container ship somewhere. Anyway, to pivot back to Star Wars, we were talking about Jon Favreau just a moment ago, and you came across this wonderful interview with Mr. Favreau where he was talking about each of the Star Wars efforts that have been done for Disney Plus have been specific genres. Is that, well, not genres with influence, right?
Right. Well, mainly, actually, that was Filoni.
Oh.
And when Filoni was saying that The Mandalorian, it was an adventure with a Japanese and Western influence.
What they talked about when they were originally developing The Mandalorian is like, let's not copy Star Wars. Let's look at the stuff that George looked at when he was developing Star Wars.
Right. Right.
For example,
New Hope.
Well, yeah, the
was based on
Hidden Fortress, right?
Hidden Fortress, yes.
Yeah.
Because you had the same tropes, you have the same characters. You have the Tsushima Funi played the Han Solo character. You had the princess. You had the 2 goofballs.
Yep.
You had the young guy. I mean, it was basically just taken from it. I mean, and it's just so neat to know that George did things like that.
But at the same time, if we step ahead to the next series, to the Book of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett is pure Western.
Well,
it's pure spaghetti Western.
There we go. That I wanted to be sure, we made that note.
The man with no name. I mean, they even had the Lee Van Cleef character, too.
They did.
Cliff.
We did. Whereas Andor, which, by the way, we'll get into the most recent episodes of that series on the second half of today's show, you were pointing out this is really kind of a Mulligan stew thing, because it's like...
Oh, man. First of all, there's not a laugh in this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's very dramatic. But it deals with, like, intrigue and there's a thriller, too, because, come on, can you remember any part of this show where you're not on the edge of your seat, where you're not stressed out, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? But it also has, if you go back to the old war movies, where, a group comes together and they do Kelly's Heroes.
There we go.
Type of a heist, or even, it just has that, because, come on, the way that Deidre walks down the hall with her pants in a Nazi pantaloop type of. I mean, if they're not trying to really push that the Empire is the Third Reich or the Fourth Reich, maybe the Space Reich, then I don't know what is. I mean, it's not even being subtle about it.
Okay, then we will do a deeper dive on Andor, second half of today's show. But you were pointing out that if we're doing the ingredients for this Tony Gilroy show, it's intrigue and thriller mixed with a war movie, as you mentioned, Kelly's Hero,
Yeah.
and a heist
Heist,
movie.
yeah.
So, whereas the next show to come over the hill after Mandalorian Season 3 will be Ahsoka. And you were saying that this time around, Filoni was very specific about what...
Right. I think this is his show. I don't think Favreau's on this. I think it's just him. There's no Robert Rodriguez. It's basically him. I think he wrote most of it. And he says it's a samurai adventure. So he's going even back farther than what George did. And he's bringing out, like, you know, and we know that the one Mandalorian had a lot to do with it. It had a Sanjuro feel to it. Whereas, and even in one of and we'll talk about the Tales of the Jedi, even one of those, there is, it was taken right out of Sanjuro. So, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's making it more a samurai adventure, like a Ronin type thing.
Okay. I apologize. We forgot about another series that's been shooting. We have
Skeleton Crew.
Yes, that's it exactly. Which specific genre? And
Right.
Can you talk about?
It's a kid's adventure. It's the Goonies. It's Stand By Me. But the thing also, and this was Favreau, and he said that you will see some of the characters from Skeleton Crew show up in Mandalorian 4, season 4.
That's intriguing. Okay.
So maybe the Skeleton Crew. I mean, there may be another series, but if not, or a season, but not, you'll still see these characters. And this has had to come up with while they're filming and while they're writing. You know that there's characters there that everybody's fallen in love with, and they just want to see them go on. Same thing with Ahsoka. I mean, you know, when Ahsoka got into Mandalorian, people lost their minds. Yeah. And it was just a no-brainer to finish the Rebel story with the Ahsoka series.
Mandalorian Season 4, realistically, given that we're not getting Mandalorian Season 3 to February of 2023, earliest we'll see that is 2024, possibly 2025.
25,
and
probably.
Before we get that, we've got Star Wars The Acolyte, which was announced in May of 2020. And as of right now, we're hearing possibly on Disney Plus in late 2023, more likely early 2024. And you did have some casting news that you were excited about with the show.
Oh, yeah. They just announced Delphine Keene, who was in, she was the mini or the clone of Wolverine in the last movie. And then she was also in Dark Materials, his Dark Materials. So she's going to be in it. So, but I don't know as what character. And then Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix. So, of course, they're not telling you what characters these are, but to see her in something like this is just wonderful.
That would be cool. And you know, worth noting here, though, that The Acolyte, this is our first film take on the Star Wars High Republic effort, which is set 200 years plus prior to the Skywalker saga, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think the main thing is this is going to set the tone because I think this is a whole new franchise within a franchise. Because if you're starting that far back, and doesn't this take place right after the Sith are destroyed, or is this before?
I don't know. I mean, you know, I have to admit, I have walked around the High Republic effort, and I appreciate all the time. And, you know, there's some wonderful people working on this one, but it's just sort of like, I don't know if I can get into this one. So I'm going in cold to this.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
But I love the whole idea. I mean, I love prequels. I love origin stories, and I think that if it sets up the whole legend of what Star Wars is. I mean, face it, the Star Wars is about the Force. I mean, when things happen, like you say, well, that wouldn't have happened. Well, why did he go down that hallway and not that hall? What's the Force? The Force has something to do with it.
Not that long ago, we had Taika Waititi talking about how he wanted to do the first Star Wars feature film that was divorced from the Skywalker saga and did not feature the Force. And that project is now in development hell. And then we had Patty Jenkins, that they did that very elaborate announcement of the project that she was working on, the Rogue Squadron, which was heavily influenced by Patty's dad, who had been a Navy flyer. And just in this past week or so, we had J.D. Dillard.
J.D. Dillard, which was going to do a something similar to
Yeah.
what Patty was doing.
Yeah, and in fact, again, he was excited about this project because his dad was also an aviator. But now that's 3 theatrical. I mean, again, we just spent like 15 minutes talking about all of these limited series for Star Wars that on Disney Plus. But here, theatrical has been trying to get back up on the board after the rise of Skywalker, and project after project is stalled out, though you came across a potential episode 10, is that right?
Yeah. It seems that, and it seems to be really far along too. It's Damon Lindelof of Lost fame.
Okay.
Is working on a script. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a first-time writer. And they already have a director. It's Charmin Kwabad-Chinoy from Ms. Marvel.
She did some great stuff.
She did amazing stuff, and I think it's going to have that night. And Damon. I mean, he also wrote the Watchmen series,
Yep.
and he's got a sensibility that he wants to tell a certain story about people and how things affect them. And she's a great director to do that because, of course, Ms. Marvel was all about character. But they say that will possibly be the episode 10.
Yeah, and evidently folks at Disney are already talking about this as the possible holiday release for 2025. So we're talking
for December 2025.
And if we tie in the news that Sean Levy is supposedly also working on a Star Wars film. And so if you remember when Disney announced 5 and 6 years worth of release dates, and the original plan was that for the holidays for much of the 2020s, it would toggle back and forth between an Avatar sequel and a Star Wars movie.
Right.
And so what appears to be being readied now is that, yes, the Taika Waititi film, the Patty Jenkins film, the J.D. Dillard film aren't going to happen. But on the other hand, we have this Damon Lindelof driven project. We have the Sean Levy thing. And James Cameron has Avatar films booked out as far as 2027. So these could be our December of 2024 and our December of 2026 films that they will follow Avatar 2, which comes out this Christmas, and then Avatar 3, which comes out in December of 2023. Though just this week, Cameron, by the way, walked out the idea that, yes, we have planned as far out as Avatar 5, but we could end the series at 3. And even the original screenplay for 2, which they decided not to go forward with, did you see what they just announced? They're going to be releasing this as a graphic novel out ahead of Avatar 2?
Of Avatar 2, yeah. I guess their whole idea was there was just too much story.
Yep.
And but isn't there a big time jump from the first one and then the
Again, I'm trying to go in cold to Avatar. I appreciated the first Avatar. I thought James Cameron always delivers a visual spectacle.
At least when you first see the movie.
Yeah.
And then when you try to watch it again, it's like, wait.
there's a lot of people in the industry this time around who are looking at Avatar 2, and it's like, well, look, it's been a while since the first film, 13 years. And that one took advantage of the fact that it was the first one through the door with the amazing 3D. But is that going to be enough to get people back in theaters again? Are people that anxious this far after the fact? Oh boy, more blue cat people.
Yeah.
So that brings us up to speed about film and television. We're going to take a quick break here. And when Brian and I get back, we're going to take a quick look at the most recent Star Wars things to show up on Disney Plus, which, of course, the Wonderful Tales of the Jedi shorts, and then the 3 most recent episodes of Star Wars Andors.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Like I said, the Tales of the Jedi shorts, which Brian and I were just kind of fascinated by these, because you were telling the story about what Dave Filoni came up with the stories for these on a plane trip. Is that right?
Yeah, he said that he was on a plane trip, he was bored, or maybe there was a lot of turbulence. Mm-hmm. And in order to calm himself down, he wrote these stories, mm-hmm. but they were basically stories based on his characters. And I know Dooku wasn't his character, but Dooku was a character that he expanded mm-hmm. in the Clone Wars. Because we know nothing about it. All of a sudden, Dooku is there, and he's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't seem like a bad guy, but he's still a bad guy. And we don't know why. So I guess he wanted to give an idea of where he came from. And then the other ones are about Ahsoka. And the 3 movies, I think there's 3 of there's 3 of each. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 Dookus and 3 Ahsokas. Mm-hmm. And Ahsoka's one are basically, the first one is very beautiful, like Miyazaki type of thing, that it shows the birth. Mm-hmm. Well, actually not the birth, but as Ahsoka's 1 year old, mm-hmm. and she becomes, and her tribe becomes aware of her powers. Mm-hmm. And then, if you think about it, a year later, she's taken away by what's his name, Plume, mm-hmm. and made into a Jedi. But it's sad because the whole tribe thing mm-hmm. It's very, Native American, very people who are going forward, but it's a community mm-hmm. and it's a village. And it's sad to know that she was taken away from her parents at such an early age. So that's the one, Ahsoka. And then another one was she's being trained by Anakin. Mm-hmm. And it's a tough training to where she is knocked out many times. Mm-hmm. And basically, I believe that Anakin kind of knew that Order 66 was coming up, mm-hmm. and he needed to teach her the skills to survive it. So he put her through the ringer. And with this episode, it does kind of end. Well, it ends right to the point.
I mean, it literally it clicks right into place with the
and how she survives, mm-hmm. but also how I'm not going to kill any clones. Mm-hmm. So you saw that, and then the last one with mm-hmm. her in it was really great. But supposedly it was based on the Ahsoka novel, mm-hmm. but it changed some characters, but it's, like one of those stories where somebody tries to hide from people coming after them. And then the Dooku things, the first one you see, and you don't even know, you just see two Jedi
Yep.
that are not really looking like, the Jedis we know. And they're clean shaven, and there's a master, and then there's a Padawan, even though he doesn't have the little rat tail. And we don't know who they are until the end. And they go into a situation, and Dooku is learning that nothing is what it seems. And then you find out that it's Dooku and what's his name?
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. So you get how he teaches, and then we know that Qui-Gon Jinn does become like one of these people who could be either side of the of the Force, not either side, not dark, but he's a very centric, and that comes from Dooku. And then the next Dooku is, it shows him and Mace Windu going to another situation, and it's got a very Sherlock Holmes, they do investigation and stuff, and he discovers again things are not what they seem.
This is set during a especially corrupt time in the Senate. And I loved the three Ahsoka shorts. They definitely gave better understanding of the character, and very much looking to see.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, the Dooku stuff for me was that much more fascinating because, again, the fact that you watched Dooku just sort of lose his faith in the system, and he still wanted to affect change and get seduced to the dark side. And in fact, the last of these, which features Bryce Dallas Howard as Yaddle.
And she does not have the same speech pattern as Yoda.
She does not. But yeah, I mean, it was, in a weird sort of way, a tragic story. You
very Shakespearean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You watched someone lose their way and then realize from this point there is no path back.
Do you think that he doesn't think that he lost his way? He really thinks that he's going to make change in a very positive way. And I think that's because of the Emperor, of Sidious, just of manipulating him towards that. I mean, knowing what he wanted and then make it a manipulation of, bastardization of what he really wants.
If we pivot now to Andor, what I find fascinating about the Cassian story, I think about it, our first 7 episodes are 4. So we have a guy who's really working fast and loose. He's just in it for himself. And that's the thing, when Luthen recruits him, he's looking for a guy with a very specific set of skills. He's not looking for a true believer. But in these 3 episodes that just ran, the Narcan 5, Nobody's Listening, and One Way Out, we watch Cassian Andor, who's being abused by the Empire, and goes from somebody who's, I'm just in it for myself, to this is wrong. And don't get me wrong, Cassian is still very self-serving.
He gets other people to do his work sometime. I mean, in this, he got Kino to basically, because he knew that nobody's going to listen to him as much as they're going to listen to Kino.
Yeah. But when Andy Serkis came on the stage, and it's important to remember here that this is not Andy Serkis's first Star Wars rodeo.
No.
And in fact, that's the thing. It was startling to me just today to realize, oh my God, that's right, Snoke. But again, that was Andy Serkis, the Laurence Olivier of performance capture.
Well, he was surprised they came back to him, too. And he was very happy that he was able to show people his face. But people don't realize what a brilliant actor he is. I mean, he's in the Batman. He's Alfred. And, I mean, do you remember that? Because he's in it so much, you don't even say, oh, that's the guy who played Snoke. You don't. Because he disappears in everything. And he's just one of those people that it's so fun to watch because he's one of those English actors that chews up the scenery, but he does it so well that it doesn't take anything away from the rest of the performances of other people and the story.
Oh, no. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's been fascinating so far about what Tony Gilroy has been doing with Star Wars Andor is to watch the arcs, to watch these stories when the stories play out. And you were talking about how much you enjoyed the arc for Kino, right?
Right.
Just that line that came at the tail end of Nobody's Listening.
Of episode, Nobody's Listening, as he walks away and he goes, no more than 10.
No more than 12.
12. No more than 12. Yeah, no more than 12. And it's like the way that it came very organic, because remember, what he couldn't get the information from him. And it was like, and Andor was becoming so frustrated. Like, can't you see what's happening? And then when he does see what's happening, because I don't think that they needed to kill Olaf.
See, you needed to have that conversation with the Doctor, which
absolutely.
Somebody just pointed out to me, by the way, the actor who played the Doctor. If you remember the flashbacks or the images of Lily and James Potter from the Harry Potter films, that's Harry Potter's dad.
Oh, man. Well, you know Olaf, who Olaf was, right? Remember in Tim Burton's The Batman?
Oh, no.
When you see Batman at the beginning and he grabs the guy and he goes and he starts shaking him, the guy goes, "Who are you, man? Who are you?" He goes, "I'm the Batman," or "I'm Batman." That is Olaf.
I did not know that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Mr. Circus. In fact, and back to what Brian was just saying earlier, that if you look at Star Wars Andor and, political thriller married to a war film by way of a heist, and there was another, in fact, particularly this last episode, One Way Out, there was
the whole arc.
The
whole arc is very The Great Escape.
There we go. Okay.
And even the circus character is very much like you pointed this out, like the Donald Pleasance character.
Yeah. The gentleman whose vision is failing and realizes that he's going to be a liability, to the escape.
You just have to see these movies too. I mean,
No.
we bring them up too, but I guarantee you, if you see these movies, you'll understand where these filmmakers are coming from. I mean, these people that made these movies, they made them when it was brand new. They made things up.
This says so much about Andy Serkis as an actor. Think about that moment when Kino and Cassian make their way into the control center and overpower the guards and get them to open the doors and shut down the water power, so the floors can't be electrified and all that.
But also, not only that, but do you remember at the beginning when you saw the prison and then you saw the outside, the water was being sucked in? Okay, if that was not stopped, then they couldn't have escaped.
Wow, I did not think of that. Wow.
Yeah, I saw that like the third time I saw it.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that you only appreciate really after the fact, when you suddenly realize, oh my God, what am I looking at here? That Cassian goads Kino into getting on the loudspeaker system.
Right.
Initially, Kino gives kind of a half-hearted message to the prison complex, and Cassian goads him into really talking. That's all you're going to say? That's all you're going to do? And he then gives this really...
he finds his voice.
Yeah. And, he tells the men to climb, tells the men to fight, that there's one, literally the title of the thing, One Way Out.
Way Out.
And then you get to the top floor of the complex and you see all the men who then realize that, the only way out is to jump into the water and to swim away. And you get that moment where Cassian is to Kino, come on, let's go. And it's just sort of like, I can't swim. And now to know that was coming, that moment was coming, and that adds so many different colors to the scene in the guard headquarters room, where there was literally no way out for him.
Yeah.
But he did what he did for the men he was stuck with, who he was imprisoned with.
I'm still losing sleep about that scene. I mean, I keep on saying there's got to be some way. There's got to be some kind of boat that you can get out there. Maybe there's a flotation device. I'm just trying to think of all these ways for him to get out, because the way his arc just changed to somebody who you would follow into battle. I mean, there are alphas and there are leaders, and he's a leader.
But again, I mean, think about our final image from this show where
Right.
you saw those hundreds of men jumping in the water, and we just see two. Cassian
Make it
yeah,
to the shore.
yeah, and we see them racing away from what is clearly something from the Empire, searching for the prisoners who got away. So we have our episode 11 and episode 12 coming up. And man, we haven't even talked about Luthen's amazing speech.
And the master class of acting between him and Whitaker. Oh my God, I watched that 4 times because I've never seen. When we saw Whitaker or saw Guerrero before, he had the oxygen, and so he was acting into a tube basically.
Yeah.
But to see him do what he does, I mean, it blew me away that I didn't even wait to get to the end. I had to go back and see that scene again to just watch the way he did it. He brings out so much, and so much information too, about the way he feels about the other fractions that are trying to create a revolution. And it just, Skellen, of course, and then Skellen does it again with in the bottoms of the of Corsican, which is now we're seeing the underworld of Corsican. Isn't that where Lucas wanted to make his series?
His crime syndicate series that they spent all that time and all that effort working on.
But now they can do it.
These 3 episodes, 8, 9, and 10, were all written and directed by the same folks. They were directed by Toby Haynes, and the scripts were done by Bo Willimon. And if you think about the running time, this is a feature's worth of story.
Yeah.
And this is feature quality acting. And we haven't even talked about what Genevieve Riley is, walking on the wire, watching the stress of, I don't much care for my husband, who I was forced to marry as young, and my obnoxious daughter. And at the same time, I am trying to funnel money to the people who need it for this rebellion, and the deals I am going to have to make, and what am I willing to sacrifice? I mean, especially the way things ended in One Way Out with her storyline, to the effect of, we have the gangster / banker who's willing to help her out, who's willing to help her hide this rather large chunk of money that she's moved, that she's fearing is about to come to the Empire's attention. But the terms he's setting, the notion of, I need my son to be introduced to your daughter.
Just an introduction.
How
many times have we heard that?
There we go. And by the way, so many of the scenes that are in her apartment feature adult beverages. And can you talk about,
Oh yeah, I mean, this has got to be something that they get in Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Because it's the Chandrillan squig drink, and you don't know what exactly it is. It looks like a champagne flute with liquid in it, and then they put in this like worm looking thing. And I supposedly that maybe does something, like it's an hallucinogenic. Maybe it's their idea of doing cocaine or something.
The worm in the tequila, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
that's what it seems like. But I mean, if you go to StarWars.com, there is even a recipe on how to make this. Oh. And you take mango juice,
right,
which is a great juice to begin with, and then you add a lemon lime soda. And then they also tell you how to make the little squigs.
Mm-hmm.
You have to use gelatin and you put powder in it or whatever. But I say just get a gummy worm and throw that in there, and then you've got this like. And if that gummy worm hits the soda, you do have something hallucinogenic.
Well,
You just,
there we go. And hey, folks, just to bring it full circle here, if you were looking for that special beverage to serve at your Life Day celebration later this week, 'cause remember,
it is.
November 17th, hey, now, just go to StarWars.com and look up
it will replace green and blue milk, which is
oh boy, do they need a replacement for green and blue milk?
yeah. I mean, who wants to drink a soda that has a milky residue? I don't know.
It's not good. It's again, that's like, look, if I wanted to drink house paint, I would go down to Lowe's.
Well, one more thing I want to add about Andor is the love story that seems to be blooming in this story between Ciro and Deidre. I know I may be wrong, but I swear he looked at her like, he was a cat waiting to pounce on a mouse.
Okay.
And she got scared, or was it scared? Was she like intrigued?
But this is one of those love stories by way of Stephen King love stories. Okay, just
Yes.
like I don't.
Oh, I know.
I don't want to see
I
where
bet.
this
I
is
bet
gonna
she
go.
has a. I bet she has a dungeon in her.
We will find out. We will find out. All right, folks. Well, anyway, we will be back in 2 weeks' time because, again, by then, we'll be on the other side of this story. We'll at least know where season 1's going. Likewise, we will be just inches away at that point from the launch of the Willow limited series, which Brian and I
can't wait to see this.
Both very much looking forward to. So again, I invite you to come back for the next episode of Looking at Lucasfilm. In the meantime, Brian, if people are looking for you on social media, where can they find you?
It's Geek with Children, and it's CHILDRN.
For now, again, we're still also on Twitter and Instagram, but in my case, it's as Jim Hill Media, and over on Facebook is Jim Hill Media News. And beyond that, by the way, if you do Brian and I a favor, if you could head over to Apple Podcasts and rate or recommend the show you're listening to right now, Looking at Lucasfilm, that would be very, very helpful. And if you really, really, really like what you heard here today, if you want to head over to Bandcamp and subscribe, that would be terrific too. And I guess that's going to do it for now. So thanks for listening, and Brian and I will be back soon.